We're doing different methods of cooking. This one is braising. So what we're going to do, we're frying it first, and then we're going to stew it. So the idea of frying it is it gives it a bit more of a flavour, and then we fry it, and then we put it in a slow cooker, or we add liquid to it, and just simmer it in the pan, very slowly, for about 2 hours. If you're putting it in a slow cooker, which is here, one advantage of it, and I'm doing it in batches, as you can see, it's got a bit of colour on it, which gives it a little caramelised flavour. That's called the Maillard reaction on meat. And if you do onions or sugar, that would be caramelisation. So that's its frying. So braising. Braising involves slowly, I'm going to show you in this book here, braising involves slowly cooking food in an oven-proof pot that has a lid on and contains liquid, usually water, stock or wine, and often herbs and vegetables. Food is cooked in a covered pot by a mixture of simmering and steaming. It is a great method of cooking for big, tough joints of meat, because the gentle cooking of meat helps it to tenderise it. Before meat is braised, it is usually fried to brown, and to seal it. This helps keep the juices inside the meat and gives it a caramelised flavour. The flavours from the liquid and the vegetables and the herbs in the pot are absorbed by the joint. Very tasty. Or by the little bits, as you can see in the pot. So I'm going to put some onions in it. And we're going to fry those for a bit as well. And I could put some more fat in if I want to. And I'm going to put a few herbs in as well. So I've got some herbs for modern style here, which is a bit like mixed herbs. So in here, I'm just going to tell you what herbs. Fresh herbs would be good in this, by the way. In here there's thyme, rosemary, basil, marjoram, oregano, tarragon. So that's just some mixed herbs. That'll give it a bit of flavour. You can put carrots in it, leeks in it. So this is going to actually be for a pie. But you need to stew it. So you need to stew it for about 2 hours. And that's the next one, we're going to do stewing. So then it's like stewed for at least 2 hours. In the slow cooker it will take even longer because it's very simmers it very, very, very gently. But if you're simmering it on the stove, it takes roughly 2 hours to get tender. So the beef is now braised, and I've fried some kidney off and put the kidney in there as well. And just to show you that it's tender, we get a bit of the beef. I've stirred it around a bit so it's breaking up. We get a bit of the beef and it should just fall apart, as you see with my meat. That's already falling apart. Let me get a bit of beef. I've stirred it up a bit. So as you can see, it just falls straight apart. So it's nice and tender where it's been braised. So that's for steak and kidney pie. So we're going to put short crust at the bottom and then puff pastry at the top. So we're finishing the puff pastry off now. So as you can see, we've got some flour, 100 grams of flour, 50 grams of margarine, right? Because we're going to put a short crust bottom, puff pastry top. So I'm making the short crust dead simple. This will take literally, I'll get it lined within 2 minutes hopefully. And then get the meat in, and we're going to put the ready-made puff pastry on top, which is pre-bought, which on my channel I've making it at least 3 or 4 times on there. But we're going to use the pre-made stuff. When I've worked at some catering places many years ago, when I was a manager and head chef at places, they quite often make the bottom. And what I don't like is when you buy this in a pub, you only get a bit of puff pastry on the top and you don't get any pastry on the bottom. I don't call that a pie, I call that a bit of casserole with a bit of puff pastry on the top. So that's one of my pet hates. If I would go and see it in a restaurant, pubs and all that, they normally just give you a bit of stew and they give you a bit of puff pastry, which I don't call as a pie. So this should just be big enough for this dish here, this sandwich tin. So obviously if you're making this is only going to be enough for 2 people this time today. So with a flour on the table, keep it round because we want to finish it round. Yeah, roll it. You have to spin it, this is the secret with this. Roll it. Spin it now, as you can see, there's a tiny bit more flour on top. Flour, one more turn, that's probably big enough. Now you can roll it around the rolling pin if you've got a big dish. I would have been alright with this bit, just to show you that. Lift it up, tuck it in, that's one thing people forget to do. So you need to definitely lift it up and tuck it in. Don't get rid of any of the excess trimmings because that's going to help it stick. So I'm going to stick a bit of egg on there now straight away, or water, and that will help the top stick. Then we get the meat in. Now I'm not going to use all this meat, because this is for me and my son tonight. I'm not starving hungry, so there's enough of probably more than 2 here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them in what I think we're going to be able to eat tonight. And this I'm going to make a pasty with. So this is steak and kidney, by the way. So this goes on top. Obviously it's square, not round or rectangle. This goes on top. Push it down with a knife. Oh, we might be able to do something real fancy actually. I'll show you a real fancy cutter. So I've got some leaf cutters at school. You have to put a couple of holes in it, by the way. This lets the steam out. So you can either first pimp it around the outside, normally give it a bit of a pattern. You can do it with a fork, or you can do it with your finger in your thumb, whatever you like. Yeah. If it's sticking a bit to your fingers, put it in the flour. Some people do this with a fork, like I said. Or you could. This just seals it around the edge so the steam doesn't come out the side. And the steam will come out the middle where I've made the holes. Now one thing we can do with this, rather don't screw this up, you should definitely don't screw it up. You want to sort of layer it on top of each other. So I've got a nice fancy cutter, if I can see it. I wasn't going to do this, but I sort of there. So these are real good, these. So these are real good. It's meant for icing really, roll out icing. So I've got a little bit of flour on top. This is real fancy, right? And I've got loads of different ones of these, like loads and loads. Put it on top, give it a push, and it's come like a flower. So if I push it out, as long as it comes out, which it should do, and if not, just get it out with a knife. Normally it comes out okay as long as I put flour on it. Should have put a bit more flour on this one, I think. And as you can see, you've got a flour, so put that on top somewhere. Yeah, egg wash that as well. Egg wash the whole pie, so I'm glazing it now. This makes it shiny, reacts with a Maillard reaction. Putting it in the oven so it's cooking by convection. A little bit of conduction because the metal tin might get hot, and that's going to be about half an hour in the oven. So that goes in the oven. Now I've got some puff pastry left, so rather than just waste it, there's hundreds of things to do. So I'm going to use this bit first. With any of this pastry left, do not screw it up, just fold it up. Yeah, like that. Then we still get the layers. So there's a bit of short crust, I'll just mix it all in there together. That'll be okay. I'm going to re-roll that in a minute. But I'm going to make 2 things here. Normally they would be square, they're not quite square as you can see. So I'll try and make them a bit more square. Then I could just make like pasties, apple pasties with these. But what I have got, I just have to move that forward a bit. And I get to the microwave just to frost it, some frozen raspberries. Far cheaper than fresh ones. So normally I just make apple or jam ones. So apple puffs or jam puffs are probably the most well-known things. But I've got some fresh raspberries or frozen raspberries here. Before I've done that, I've got some cream cheese here. So I've got some cream cheese mixed with vanilla, sugar, and a little bit of custard powder to make it a bit thicker. So this is an American-y type thing. And there's, I forgot, it's called Tasty Videos. They have these and they always do loads of things like this on there. So that goes on here. We're going to put some raspberries on. And maybe I'm going to put some sugar on them with these as well. So raspberries on top. Then, maybe I'm going to do one with apple, one with raspberries actually. Or you can have apple and raspberry. So I'm going to do one apple. Yeah. Don't want too much, and a bit more apple than that. I was going to do apple and raspberry, but I'm going to do one apple, one raspberry one just to show you. The raspberries are really, really sharp. So I'm going to put quite a bit of sugar on them. Icing sugar or normal sugar will do. Now I might try these a little bit different. I'm going to cut them here. I'll just do 2 different designs I can think of. So this one goes up here. And something like that. Oh, I think it's that one actually that goes up. That looks a bit better actually. So it's that one. Yeah, it's that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's right. I have to think about that, so you have to have a little play with it. There's hundreds of things you can do with this. Yeah, so just that one. So it's not every one, every other one. And I've got 4 in that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's meant to be symmetrical, sort of more or less symmetrical. Okay, I am going to brush them with egg. Probably don't need to brush them with egg. You can just make them with sugar. I'm going to brush them with egg, the sugar will stick, and you could do this with water as well. Put these in the oven on the paper, and then when they come out I sprinkle with ice and sugar. Sprinkle with a bit of sugar. The raspberries, the apples are out of my garden, been in the freezer from last year. The raspberries you have to buy, so they're a bit more expensive. This might leak a lot, make it look a little bit more messy. Normally I'd have this a little bit drier than this as well. I'll show you them when they come out the oven. Right, so this is for 2 of us, so cut it in half. And as you can see, one good thing about making your home pie, you get loads and loads of filling. When you buy one from the shop, they're real upsetting if you ever have them. Especially if you buy the little pies that you buy like from the bakers. You don't get much filling, as you can see in this. You've got all that filling in there, real kidney, real beef, look at that. And this is like, this beef was only £4.95 a kilo. Look at that pie, absolutely never a bit of gravy with it. Okay, we've got some puddings here as well with the puff, leftover puff. That's the apple one, like I said, with the cream cheese. They seem to do a lot of that, and that tasty video, if you watch one of those, they're absolutely brilliant. Now I can just make a nice pattern with this. Anything you like in here, maybe some circles, 3 circles here, 3 circles here, with a teaspoon or any implement you like. Maybe make some little hearts with it. Yeah, nice and done. That's it, thank you.